yes, he would be a good fit at Melbourne, especially in the absence of Nelson Asafa-Solomona, given what they have in their middle forwards. But his agent, Simon Mamina, who jumped on a plane and is heading over for that second test match, has basically said, well, if you want to get Tino out of the Gold Coast, and remember, he has a contract there till 2033, and the speculation is he's $1.2 million this year, but in 27, when the clause comes into play, and that's why he's available to speak to clubs on November 1 this year, in 2027, that price goes to $1.5 million. You have to match that, maybe beat it, if you want to get Tino out of there. And then the question becomes, are you prepared to pay that for a middle forward? Or what concession is Tino prepared to take to go to a successful club?
And 25 years of age, right? So, you talk about that price tag. That is a massive one for a guy who's going to have been in the NRL at that stage for more than a decade. And there aren't too many middle forwards who keep going for that long. So that's something that clubs that are chasing Tino are going to have to sort of make amends with at some stage. The Titans deal, I don't think it'll be bettered, but as Tino's spoken about, it's not purely down to money. He wants to go and be successful somewhere, and if he can't see a path forward with the Titans, then deals that don't match what the Titans have on the table and actually have signed with him are going to come into the mix, which is where all this speculation has come from.
Question without notice, and I thought of it as you were speaking then, and that is, do you think that clubs now are more prepared to roll the dice with players on long-term contracts like a Tino? And I'm just looking at his playing record over the course of the last few years. So 19 games this year, 2 last year on the back of that ACL, 19 the year before, and then it was 22, 22, 22, and when he first started playing in the NRL, he played 5 back in 2019. Do you think clubs are more prepared to roll the dice knowing they have the option of a medical retirement that they could use down the track?
That has changed the game, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's changed the entire perspective. I don't know if we even explore this, or some clubs will. Do they actually front-end his deal? Do they actually go, we'll pay you these big dollars up front, we're expecting the most output from you, and then that'll trickle down? It's not something we see often in the NRL, but I think it must be bouncing around the heads of 1 or 2 executives of football clubs at the moment that might be in for him.
And so we know that the Bears, of course, will be interested. Simon Mamino has said that Mal Meninga has flagged that interest already. So there'll be an official offer come November 1. Make sure they get the timing right on that, Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time or whatever it happens to be. But he is highly sought after. 7-year deal worth around $10.5 million. That's what you're going to have to match. And because if he wants to go to a successful club, is there anyone here can guarantee me that the Perth Bears will be successful through the course of their first 5 years of existence?
And when we put them in the same box as the Melbourne Storm potentially chasing that player, if it is down to success, and Tino's true to his word on that, which I expect him to be, that would put them right in pole position, ahead of Perth and ahead of almost any other club, maybe apart from Penrith, who probably aren't going to pay the money for that sort of player at this stage.
Another question without notice. We don't have a transfer window. We have this situation where we have a player like Tino who can, on Saturday morning, sign with, he won't because he's playing a test match on Saturday night, but on Saturday morning, sign with the club that he will not join until 12 months' time, right? So, which we all sort of shake our heads at, and I know that the fans don't like it, but we know that the RLPA love it because it gives them a little bit of a leverage when it comes to against the clubs. Do we need a transfer window if all we've spoken about on this program over the, not all we've spoken about, but a lot of what we've spoken about over the course of the last month since there's been no footy is transfers?
But that would happen anyway, wouldn't it, Jim? That would happen anyway. We'd be speculating in anticipation of what's happening, which is, the whole basis of this segment.
So does it tidy it up? Do you think it formalises the period?
I think that's the biggest thing. And the fact that if Tino does sign this deal where he's going to be going, what position does that put him in? Going back into the Titans this year under a new coach, under a new regime, and, he's a thorough professional. I'm sure he'll go in there and give his best effort and try to lend a hand where he can. But it's difficult for the playing squad as well, surely knowing that their leader is, going to be playing somewhere else in a year's time. I know you take the RLPA view in the most part with this, Jimmy, but I think that the upside, I don't, actually, let me put it the other way. I think there's not as much downside as some think in tidying it up and in giving us this 2 or 3 week transfer window for all this sort of stuff to get done, and so that everybody just has clarity on what's happening come the time that everybody joins for pre-season at the end of November.
I was always in the fans' corner around, we don't like this rule and so we need this to be improved, until I had that conversation with Clint Newton, who explained around the imbalance between the powers that the clubs have in ability to dismiss a player, and that the inability of the player to do something similar, right? To say in 12 months' time, I'm going to go there, I'm going to secure my future. So based on that, it's a lever that the RLPA can pull. And I tell you what, there's going to have to be, what do they get, 26% of total revenue? You need to give them 35 if they're going to give up that lever or something similar. But